Yo, you're listening to BGKO.
One and only Cat TV Colin. When you come to Vegas, you want to see Vegas, you get with Cat TV tours. Just Google me and it'll come up. Google Cat TV tours and book your trip before you even get here. You heard me? It's Cat TV making it do what it do. You heard?
What's the deal, yo? This is BG Knocc Out from BG Knocc Out TV, and I'm here with my lovely cousin.
What's up, it's your girl V Lavish.
V Lavish, what's the deal?
Chilling. How are you?
I'm Gucci. We got a dope show tonight.
Yes,
we got a special guest
show
in the house.
Yes.
Mr. Stone Paxton. How you doing, brother?
I'm just trying to adjust to this low rider couch.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the couch bigger than you.
No. Listen, I'm good, you guys. I am finally happy to make it here. I know
Thank
we've
you.
been talking about this for a minute.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be here, y'all. BG Knocc Out, you know what I'm saying, the podcast is lovely. Y'all know I don't do anybody's podcast because this is actually the first podcast I've done.
Well, thank you
Wow.
for
Because of
coming to
you,
ours.
I'm here. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, man. We
Okay.
appreciate it. We
Feel me?
appreciate it because I don't do people shit either. You know what I mean? Nah. But nah, look, let's get into a little bit of your biography, man. So you were a guitar player and a background vocalist for Rick James Stone City Band, right?
Yeah, keytar player. Yep, keytar player.
Oh,
in background.
keytar.
Yeah.
It really was guitar.
Yeah, it is a keytar. Yeah.
What is that?
It's like a keyboard, but shaped like a guitar. You know what I'm saying? So they call it keytar. You
Yeah,
know
not
what I mean?
everybody know about
Yeah.
that. Shut up. Like you know what it is. You don't know what it is. And then you was also a member of Alan McNeil's Troop Reloaded.
Yeah, currently still, him and I, we put out albums as Troop Reloaded and then also as New Soul, like two different brands, you know what I'm saying?
Okay,
so yeah,
okay.
we're still currently in effect with that. That one's an ongoing process, you feel what I'm saying?
It also says here that you had the top 40 R&B single, #1 on Billboard charting, number 47 on iTunes, top 100 R&B soul songs, whatever that means, and in 9 different countries.
Yeah.
Damn, man.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and that's all independent.
Can you teach me a little bit? Like,
Yeah, definitely.
So I
I
can
got the
figure it out.
Listen, I got the Da
Charted
Vinci
nine.
Code, man. I've cracked the code, and I do that every time I drop an album or a single. It just
Damn.
every single time because
So
I got.
what is it though? Like, what do you attribute that to?
You know, honestly, I attribute it. I've always wanted to be the most important person in the room that nobody knew.
Okay.
Right.
So what I did was I learned everything about, even though I was a producer and an artist, I never really cared so much about being an artist. I really wanted to be the person that everybody went to. So I took years out at helping other people and set my career aside just so I could focus on learning more about the business through the years because I wanted to be the person in the room that people would sit next to and not realize that I was probably one of the most important persons in the room.
Dope.
Wow.
So with doing that, I learned all the things that we used to want to know as artists.
Yeah.
Remember, we sit in the meetings and figure out like, how is they charting a record? How does this? How do you chart it? What's the process?
Right.
What I did was I got to know all the most important Jewish people in the music industry and learn from them, and they taught me that backdoor stuff about how to properly get a record to chart on a timely basis from A to Z, how to make it happen on limited budgets or no budget at all.
How do that work now when, like, you know, back in the day, all albums used to come out on Tuesday. Now you can drop a album any day now. So how does that work with today's music industry?
It still kind of works that way, but now, like, a lot of the albums now come out like on Thursdays or Fridays, or maybe like Wednesday or Thursday, right?
Okay.
Because now if a record stays on a chart for a week on iTunes took over the top 40.
Oh, wow.
So if you break into iTunes top 100, especially iTunes top 10, and if you can stay there for a week, you'll break into Billboard.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
See, so iTunes
nice.
is the new Casey Kasem's top 40.
Okay.
That's why iTunes is important, which is why not everybody charts on iTunes, because it's not as easy as it looks. But when you understand how to make it happen, then you know how to go make it happen again and again.
Understood.
Because it is a process.
So does it matter about the type of brand of music it is, or what it is, or is it streams? It goes based off of streams. If it's the most streamed, you get on the charts.
That's part of the truth. The real truth is it's the first week of sales or pre-orders.
Oh.
Because physical still matters. So downloads are like a physical album sale.
Okay.
So this is why you can have Drake today drop an album, but if BG drops an album, sells 1,000 downloads tomorrow, and Drake only did 200. He'll be on Billboard. He'll be in Billboard's top 3.
Wow.
Especially the first week of sales. If he's got his first week of downloads,
Okay.
and then the streaming takes it over the top. So
Okay.
let's say he got 600, 800 sales.
Okay.
Now the streaming, the people going to stream it, that takes it extra over the top. He's on the iTunes chart for a whole week.
Yeah.
Then he breaks into Billboard, where Drake might only sold 300 downloads that week.
Okay.
And he didn't get that many streams.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
you
it's
see what I'm
download
saying?
and streaming
Yeah.
combined.
Downloads
then.
Yeah.
and
Okay,
streams
okay.
and pre-orders.
And the pre-orders, them pre-orders are important. You feel what I'm saying?
That's why you see it a lot of times before
Yeah.
it's out, and then
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like that's kind of smart, I think, to do the pre-orders, because a lot of times people sell a lot with the pre-orders, like too. You know what I'm saying? Like prior to it dropping. So I
Yeah.
think that's a good move as well.
Yeah, that guarantees
But
it.
yeah, man, your accolades is crazy, bro. I don't know if I can read them all.
No, you don't have to read them all. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
bro.
really like 10 books, but you know, we do that. No, really. So we don't have to brag. You know how this business is.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
much we do. A lot of people might not know everything that we do.
Right.
But then again, if we talk too much about ourselves, so we let the bio do it. But then even with that, when people look at it, they go, man, that's too much.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you try to truncate it.
Yeah, for
You know?
sure. Yeah.
And sometimes it might have to go in a documentary because you can't get it all in
I
there.
did actually want to ask you though. So you actually discovered Neo.
I did. So with the whole Neo situation, I put together a group here in Las Vegas back in 1994, 95, 96 called Envy.
Okay.
And that was my group. It don't matter what nobody say. You can
Those
have
the
100.
same people that they went on Apollo at one time.
That was my
Okay,
group.
okay.
So I
Yeah.
put the group together. I named the group. I put the group together. My good friend, who was a police officer at that time, he's no longer here. Rest in peace. But
Those.
I was a young dude then, and he pretty much kind of gangstered and stole the group from me, and kind of dared me to, like, if you do something about it, I'm a police officer.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was kind of new to Vegas. I had only been here 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like hands up, and he stole my group from me. You know what I mean? And I remember going on the radio station, KLUC, when they did an interview, and literally I called and was like, that's my group, that's my name, stop using my name. It was a real crazy time period, but I put that group together. Now, the thing about it, in that group, you had Corey Clark from American Idol. That's the one that slept with Paula Abdul.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot
He was in
about
that
him.
same group.
I was in
Mhm.
prison watching that.
He was actually the first one I had in the
was.
group, because he actually approached me when he was young. I was at a talent show, and he told me he was a singer, and he sung for me, and I said, yeah, I say you cool, but I think you'll work better in a group. You got some friends? He said, yeah. I said, gather your friends, call me tomorrow, and then I put the group together and named the group Envy, and the rest was history.
So he fumbled Paula Abdul, though. He fumbled the bag like that.
Yeah.
He was a goofy.
You feel me?
Man.
Are different, okay? It's
Yeah.
different type of breed of a woman. So
Oh, absolutely.
you see some fresh meat that's young.
They going
play
after
with it, and then when you're done with it, you just throw it away.
Mm-hmm.
Nah. She
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
old. I'd have kept her. I wouldn't have let her get away. She can't run that fast.
She's old, but she.
Yeah.
You seen
She still got them dance moves. She still,
No, I'm just messing
you
with her.
feel me?
Yeah, for sure. So,
Yeah.
bro, so what is your music background? Like, where does it come from? Give us a little bit about, like, when you got into music, what inspired you and things like that.
I started playing drums at the age of 6
Okay.
because my aunt, I used to play drums in church. They used to just put me up on the drum set and just let me play, you know. And you know how when you go to church and the drummer's not there and the piano player's not there, so my aunt would say, "Go ahead, boy, go on up, get on them drums." And
Where
the
was
pastor
this
would
at?
let me-
Where did you grow up at?
This was in Illinois.
In Illinois.
Yep,
Okay.
this is in Illinois and Chicago. So they would send me, just go on up on them drums, and that's where it started from. And then what my aunt did was she put me in band in elementary school. So I've been a band geek from elementary throughout college. Like,
Okay.
this has been my life. Just music, that's it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But one thing led to the other, because if it wasn't for the initial, my aunt pushing me in that, and Boy Scouts, I was in all that stuff. I was
yeah.
I was like an ideal white black kid.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, my brothers lived in the hood, you know what I'm saying? My brothers was all knuckleheads and gangsters. And then I lived with my aunt in the suburbs, and I would visit my mom on the weekends. So I had both of those worlds, and that's what molded me into who I am. That's why I have a complete balance of both of those sides. But the music thing happened because she ignited me as a child with the drumming, and, you know, and just to think back to that, I sit back and look at my history and where I'm at, and I look at how you can take one piece of the puzzle out, and it changes who you are. And I would probably wouldn't even be sitting here talking to you guys right now. So it's kind of just crazy. But that's what started it. You know, and one thing just led to the other. You know.
So what was the first thing that you did that that people would know about, like that went mainstream? I would say.
Well, my first record deal, I was with a group called Trade. We were managed by the New Kids on the Block.
Oh wow.
Management. We signed with the New Kids management. They had Dougie Fresh. They had us. They had Perfect Gentleman, Rick West, Marky Mark.
Yeah.
That was like my first.
Funky Bunch.
Yeah, and the Funky Bunch. That was my first entry level to the actual music industry and going out on tours and stuff. And one thing led to the other. You know how this business is. You go from one extreme to now a solo deal, and then that deal falls through, do a whole album, and another situation lands, and I ended up having a production deal with Mike Conception.
Oh wow. Okay.
You know, being a producer under Mike's label, as well as also still being a member of the Rick James Stone City Band.
So you worked with Silky Fine as well?
Yeah. So at that time,
did you do the Romeo and Juliet album?
No, I didn't. I was part of the production team. Yeah, because it was about 4 or 5 different producers. You know what I'm saying? So everybody worked on those projects together.
Wow. That's all I can say. Now,
Yeah.
with all that being said, okay, now I know there's a lot of music things that we need to ask about.
Yeah.
But for sure, okay, this actually just kind of bothered me, and I seen it, and I just want to ask you. There's an individual, and I'm not going to drop names, but clearly is wished you unalive, and then apologized, and then started talking mess again. And I just, what do you have to say about that?
I'm not going to mention that person's YouTube name.
Okay.
Because obviously it seems like to me now, I know that's probably what that person wanted, which ignited that person to talk about unaliving me on, which I think is some crazy shit, by the way, because who goes on a live and tells a cat that he'd never met in his life, I'm not going to fight you, I'm going to unalive you because I'm military trained? Who does? Who does? What planet do they do that shit on, right?
Like wackos do that, nut jobs
right,
do that. Yeah.
Right. You feel what I'm saying? So it caught me off guard. But the story I was told, people were texting me saying, "Hey man, this dude is going live about you." So I'm like, live about who is this person?
Oh, so they were telling you.
Somebody had messaged me saying, "Hey, they're gonna go live about you tonight." And I'm like, "Well, who?" And they said his name. I said, "I don't know who the hell that."
So you never encountered this person at all?
I've never met this person, never spoke to them on the phone, never, nothing.
So what the heck?
So I messaged them back and said, "What do you mean?" They said, "That person's gonna try to ambush you and call your phone. Because what they do is get people on live." And I said, "Really?"
How do they get your number? That's what I'm saying.
Well, they look it up. I can look up your name and it'll give me variable numbers, and I'm gonna call each one until you pick up.
Wow.
You get what I'm saying? You can do that to anybody, right?
The internet is crazy.
So he kept calling. I started getting these calls from multiple. I don't answer my phone anyway. Unless I know you, I will never answer the phone from my family or nobody. Yeah. But they don't know that. So when they tipped me off, I said, okay, cool. But I guess he had the people thinking that I was going to go live. I was the only one that didn't know this. Mm-hmm. So when I didn't go live, they said he lost it. And that's when he started talking about unaliving me. Now, here's my thing. If you want to be gangster online, be a gangster in real life. Because they ain't stopped making, guns for one person.
Right.
So when you threaten a person and you really believe you scared them, that's your belief.
Right.
Yeah.
But if we really gonna do this for entertainment,
Right.
why don't we just do it for charity? Why don't me, you and I, set up a boxing match, get in the ring. I'll call Floyd Mayweather, we'll get his gym. Let's give this money to Angie's family, content creator, and you and I get in the ring, and I'm gonna show you what I'm really about.
Yeah.
See, because contrary to popular belief, you got the glasses and the jeans and the clothes mixed up, but let's get in the ring and then let's let that talk. because that's what I do for real besides this music. All the stuff about unaliving people, the tough guy stuff, leave that for the tough guys. Because if he was locked up, like I said to him on the live, you talk all that stuff, but the real tough guys are locked up.
Yeah.
You're going to get locked up. That little YouTube money you making is going to go to somebody else, and you're going to be in there with the real tough guys. So if you think you're tough, let's do this for charity. Let's make it fun. Let's do it for your YouTube followers and mine. Let's do a boxing match. Let's get in the ring, feet and legs, and let's go at it. You and I. And that'll be the end of all that talk, because you keep switching the narrative, you keep lying on me, you keep making things up that are not true, when all I did was came online and spoke my truth.
All right, let's get into that part. That's what I want to get into, because this came as a result. Now, for a lot of people don't know, you was in Angie Stone's band. Condolences to her and her situation that just recently happened. But you was in her band, right? And then
I wasn't in her band.
You wasn't in the band?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was handling her business.
You was handling
getting
the
all her
business.
money back, her publishing and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you was like a liaison of sorts.
Yes. Yeah, we
Okay.
found all her stolen songs, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so the incident happened with her, and she tragically passed away that one, fateful day on the freeway or whatnot.
Yes.
Can you get into a little bit about like kind of what led up to that, and like what's the speculation going on? Because at first it was considered an accident, and now I'm hearing that it's being investigated as a murder or something like that, right?
It's from the day it happened, and I'll say something that I haven't said on any of my own lives on YouTube. I talked about the young lady that called me that morning within the camp. Her name is Shayna.
Okay.
And she called me, and that morning when she called me, at first Juanita called me to tell me Angie died, and I flipped out, and I called her, but she was so hysterical, and then I got a call from Shayna. Now, when I called Shayna, she was more concerned with the dude, the driver, and the fact that he had brought his girl to the hospital. The girl came to the hospital, and I just thought the shit was the strangest shit in the world.
Are you talking about the Caucasian lady?
Nah, this ain't a call. Yeah, nah.
So that lady-
This is somebody within our camp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was right under Angie. Her name is Shayna. So when she called me from the hospital, she was talking to me, but she was so upset about the driver bringing his girlfriend showing up to the hospital. And so she was talking about that while I'm crying about Angie at full speed. And she's sitting there actually talking about, yeah, I can't believe he's gonna brought that bitch to the hospital when just a week ago he was talking about eating my ass out. So I thought that's
what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm crying. I'm like, I said, what does that have to do with Angie? None, I'm just saying. I said, but, so I was confused. Not only did she say that, she also said some other stuff that I've never shared with nobody. Because somebody just asked me a question about the 3 pops. Supposedly, they heard 3 gunshots. Supposedly, that's what people were saying, right?
Yeah.
And so, what I will say is what I've never shared, and I didn't want to get back on YouTube on my channel. I said number 8. I wasn't going to do any more talking about Angie. That was it. But since I'm here and we're talking, I'm going to share something I haven't shared. Now, that day at the hospital when she talked to me, the detective was there. And she was saying, yeah, the detective asked me, like, did I have a gun too? And I asked him, why? Should I have one? This is what Shayna said. Wow. And I said, what do you mean he asked you, did you have a gun? She said, well, he said, he said, did I have a gun too? And she said, why? Should I have one? He said, well, 3 of the people in the band did.
Whoa, wait a minute. Wait. Why? What?
Yeah.
These are, and who was all in the van? Who was all these people? Was it her
The
people
band,
or was the band?
So I thought that was strange that 3 people in the band would have guns.
Right.
Why? Why do 3 people in the band have guns?
Exactly.
Right? Like that one kind of shocked me, and I was like, damn. I said, and then she was like, yeah. So he gave her the gun. She said the police told her, oh well, it's good to have a gun. And she said, yeah. She went back to her truck because he gave her the guns, I guess, to put away. With the people. But I just thought that was strange that 3 people in the van would have a gun.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that because of what she was going through, trying to get her money back, that they were trying to take precautions because they felt like these people were like, higher up people, like, what I'm saying, people not to play with, so they felt like they needed protection? I think or do they always carry?
I think she probably didn't know they had guns.
I believe she didn't know.
I don't think she knew. Not 3, maybe one. Maybe one person would have a gun, but I don't think
3 people.
Yeah, I don't think.
Were these security or are these regular band members?
These are just regular band members. That's why it's so. I mean,
All
I've been on the road.
bands roll
I've
like
been
that?
on the road. We ain't never had no guns on the road when we Stone
Because
City
y'all don't
Band.
have the type of controversy like
Yeah.
that would come with rap music and things like that. So
Right.
I wouldn't think, you know,
See what I'm
y'all
saying?
would have to carry a gun. Like,
Bingo. So that's what bothered me, and I never shared this on my own channel. I didn't talk about the gun situation, but when somebody messaged me the other day in the comments, they asked about the 3 pops, and it made me think. I said, that is interesting. Somebody said they heard 3 gun pops or something like that in the car before it flipped or something like that, and the lady asked me, what do you think that was about? And it reminded me about the guns that were in the car. And I'm
So
thinking
did they
maybe a
find-
gun went off or something. Maybe it fell.
Yeah.
Who knows, right?
so did she have gun wounds like on her body anywhere?
See, that's
that
the
you know
thing.
of?
See, the autopsy hasn't come back. I believe maybe I don't know if it's 3 guns in the car. Maybe
Right.
maybe a gun fell when it flipped and the shit went off.
That's possible.
I mean, that could be where people, because this is what people are saying. They heard gunshots. I'm just saying what people are saying.
on
right?
a highway like that, for you to hear gunshots with all that noise,
Yeah.
it's kind of, you know what I mean?
Close
Like, it's-
proximity like that.
it's
Yeah.
like, come on,
It
man.
probably came from the inside. Maybe the guns went off that fell that they had on them.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, something dirty about that.
Yeah, it's some real, you know, and I've been kind of careful about how I've been
How you-
speaking about
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Because there's still so much information I have that I haven't shared. And the problem with the people online is they're making up stories. So when I spit something, they take what I say and then they had me said I unlife Tupac, I unlife DMX and Angie.
These
The
people
same dude.
I know that's crazy. That's
Right.
what I don't. Now, why would they do that, knowing that you actually are just somebody that makes music and helps
They don't want the
people's
truth.
careers?
They don't
Yeah,
want
the
the
internet
truth.
is
They-
that type.
They want
the
that
internet
money.
is the type of place where, you know, people are looking for content, man.
Yeah.
They looking for clickbait,
Yeah.
and they looking to draw
Yeah.
people into controversies
Yeah.
to get you to respond so they can get content out
Yeah.
of you. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of
Yeah.
really what it is.
Yeah.
But it's like, damn. So, are they saying anything about are they coming to any conclusions about what happened?
So the crazy part about it was I had the information, some of the information I shared with you guys, right? Everybody was telling me to call the detective, and I was avoiding calling this detective, right? My spirit was just telling me, nah, leave it alone. But the detective reached out to me, right? And when he talked to me, I had these 4 anonymous women that had been calling me, and they were sharing shit with me that there's no way that they could have known the inside information I knew unless they were telling the truth, right?
Yeah.
Some of the stuff they were sharing with me, the only way they could have known is if they were us.
Right.
So I knew they weren't lying to me, but they shared some detail with me. So I get on the phone with the detective. I tell him the things that I was concerned about, because at the end of the day, Angie was like a sister to me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I
yeah.
loved her, right? So I felt like it was my duty to at least tell my truth,
Right.
right? If I don't know a person, I can't talk on somebody I don't know, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna tell my truth. But when these women called me and started telling me certain things, they were calling me out of fear, though, like
Yeah.
high level fear, right? And so I said, well, why are you calling me with the information? Why don't you share with another blogger? They said, no, because we like the way you talk. We like the way you go online, the way that you deliver your message, and we know that you're honest. We want to share this with you. I said,
Right.
well, you should just go on and do it. And they said, no, we're scared because this person will do this person will do that, right? I done had dudes, men and women,
Yeah.
call me, right? So I was like, cool. So I tell the detective my stuff that was going on. Dude was real nonchalant, and I thought it was strange. He was just way too like, oh yeah, oh cool, yeah. Oh, I got to take my daughter to a game tomorrow, yeah. Okay.
The detective was
Yeah, bro, they was hollering at me like this. Then he started saying weird stuff like, well, do me a favor, talk to them and get all the information for me. I said, no. I said, no, we ain't gonna do that. That's your job. You're the detective. Your job is to talk to them. You got me asking. I said, no, I'm not gonna ask them shit. I'm gonna give them your number and you're gonna call them or they're gonna call you.
Yeah.
So when that happened, I hit the women. I said, hey, don't talk to him no more. I said, because that shit is weird to me. They said, oh, no, he already called us, but it felt really weird. So we're back. And I said, yeah, just don't even deal with it. I said, the shit just seems really strange, which made me start seeing that there's some other shit going on.
Absolutely.
Because the way he was talking to me he wasn't concerned with it.
Right.
He wasn't concerned. He wasn't trying to get to the bottom
That's
of
the
it.
way it sounds.
Yeah, he wasn't concerned. And he hasn't called me since, by the way.
And see, that's the strange thing about it. Okay, this lady is trying, you know, rest in peace, God bless the dead, rest in peace to Angie. She's fighting to get her money back that's been stolen from her, right? Which is I heard was upwards of in the millions or
Yeah.
something like that, right?
Yeah.
And then this accident happened the strange accident where she is the only person that passed away in this car, or this, what was that, a Sprinter van or something like that?
It was a Mercedes Sprinter.
She's the only one who passed away. It's guns inside with band members who are not gangsters. They play instruments, right? Right. And these ain't like the bands from Rick James then back in your day. Them niggas was kind of crazy.
Supposed to be one person supposed to be a real live gangster.
Okay, well,
I don't get into the name. You know what I'm saying?
That's one nigga. Yeah. He had 3 guns. I doubt it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, so all I'm just saying, like, this all happened at the opportune time. It seemed like to me, like, you know, she's fighting for her money.
Yeah, it was strange, bro.
She's dead. The detective is acting weird, like he knows something. Yeah. Like they purposely put him on the case for this specific. That's what it sounds like. If he's acting that nonchalant, bro, it's a murder. Somebody is dead.
He was saying so much shit to me where I didn't even want to hear him talk no more. He was saying like almost like he was planting words in my ear. Like, well, what if, you know, first case scenario, like if I was to say that this person reached in her purse and took money out when the band flipped, he was saying shit to me like that.
Yeah,
so
like
I
he's
was
trying
like,
to, like he's coaching you pretty much. Like,
right. So I was like, yo, what the fuck is he? What is he doing? So I was like, okay. I was like, right. He was spitting stuff to me like that. Mm-hmm. Stuff that I didn't know, by the way.
Okay.
That I could.
And you jotting down in your mental notes. Yeah.
I could assumed it, but I had never heard it. That was the first time.
Actually made it accurate
until he mentioned it to me. Because I did wonder where her money went.
Okay.
Yeah.
The money she made that night. I did wonder, where's that cash money?
So that came up missing. The money she made.
Well, nobody's talked about it yet, but that detective threw some shit at me like that.
Wow.
He said that to me. He said he was just doing like a scenario, he said.
So nobody's in jail, right? Nobody in that van is in jail. Nobody.
No, everybody's suing right now.
They all suing who? The driver?
The driver. The person who they're suing the driver.
The person who they suing the driver that was driving
and they signed the next day. By the way,
they signed the next day to sue the man.
To sue the driver.
Now, was there something like some NDAs or something like that?
Well, you know, the attorneys that they're gonna make them do that. Don't speak because we want to go get you the most money. Yeah, that's true. So don't say nothing. But the fact that they would do that.
That's strange, though.
Now, you said you were supposed to be actually inside the Sprinter.
So they're not concerned about her. They worried about getting paid. Like, all of that is weird to me, bro.
I had spoken to Angie. I told, me too. Yeah. BG, you feel what I'm saying? I was bothered the fact that the money was more important than them wanting to get to the bottom of the accident, and they immediately locked in with an attorney the next day.
And another strange thing to me is like they questioning you as if you were there. Like, I don't even understand like why they asking you all these deep questions and you was, you know what I'm saying, 100 miles away.
I just know the full detail because you know what they say, anytime there's an accident, the first 48 hours is when you get the real information. Right when it happened, I was getting all the information. I was on the phone. Everything was getting downloaded to me, told to me by detail, in detail.
Damn.
You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. So I was on the phone. I was lonely. I didn't hear nobody else crying. I didn't hear nobody else cry, but I was
crying. These people that was around her, how long have they been with her? Like, they been with her for years, or they just came around?
The band, she had used a long time. The particular young lady, the Shayna lady, only been around Angie for 6 months.
Oh, see.
So Angie really didn't know her. And then we just found out other stuff about her. So there was levels to her that just kind of got revealed with people online. I told people, y'all want to know, go search who this girl is. Go find out who she is. Go research her. Y'all talking about what I'm saying is not true. Why don't y'all go dig deep about her? And some people started digging and they found out stuff about her that I didn't even know about.
So I kind of remember, I don't know if you said that or if I read it online, where her and the driver was kind of in cahoots.
Yeah, that's what everybody. Now this is what people online found out.
Okay.
You know, so it shocked me too. But I mean, certain stuff just didn't add up. That I was like, well, this just A and B has to be C.
Yeah, for sure.
It has to be. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like she was a plant. She was planted there for the purpose of monitoring Angie, and she's still there in Angie's kids' ears. She's still controlling them.
Can I ask this question? Who is the people that Angie was going to get her money from? Like, who are the people? Who are them? Can you talk about that?
So a lot of her songs have been taken, and what we found on paper, I literally got the paperwork. I could call out the name now, but I'm not going to do it. But the actual name of the person that had taken a lot of her records, the publishing companies was registered.
Okay.
So we had an actual phone call after she passed, right? Now, this particular person, we have been calling this person, trying to get a conversation with this person to be like,
haven't been able to up until after the fact.
The person's been ignoring us.
Okay.
They say they're gonna call, they don't. But afterwards, we got a number from her son, and he said, Stone, this is the number. This person changed their number. I said, okay, I'm gonna call it. I called it, they answered. Then I made another call and put somebody else on the phone, and we went into a conversation with him. He started off saying that he don't know what we're talking about. He don't know anything about it. By the end of the conversation, he knew where the songs were, and he could tell us who has them, and we can yell at them. Those were his exact words.
Wow.
But initially, in the middle of it, he told us, I don't have to give y'all shit.
Wow.
But by the end of that phone call, literally, this is exactly what he was saying. He said, I know who has them. I can tell y'all, but first I need to see the paperwork that you guys are representing her, and then I'll tell y'all who has it, and y'all can yell at them.
Okay.
That's the shit he
That
said.
makes sense though, because if you call me, and I don't know who you are, asking me about some important shit, I ain't gonna say shit.
But we had already sent him the paperwork.
Yeah, but
over
he
and
act
over
like
again.
he didn't know who y'all were though. Like,
Yeah, he knew who he was. He just was playing that game.
Okay.
Because all the songs were in his name.
Oh wow.
So you guys were getting pretty close to actually retrieving her.
We were already retrieving it. And MLS, we were moving the songs over already, some of them.
Wow.
As we spoke, they were being moved over.
And then,
So are you? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, and then this happens. That's all I was going to say.
And that happened out of the blue, and it fucked us all up. Because, the strange part about it is she mentioned our names, and I start feeling like, did she mention that because she knew that her spirit led her to say our names, so if something happens, keep the fight going? Like, the whole thing is still strange to me when I watch her again, and she spit the names, and then the way she mentioned my name, if you go watch it, the way she mentioned my name, the whole thing is just really, it still has me real messed up.
You know what I'm curious about now that all of this has happened, right? I'm curious about them trying to go and doctor the paperwork now. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
like,
let me
trying
tell
to,
you
know what I mean? Move shit around so that it don't get, pinpointed down to particular people,
Let me tell you something. Last night on this other blogger posted on her channel, she was live, and somebody called me, had me on the live, and the guy, his name is Storm. He's over the Quiet Storm show. He has a show called Quiet Storm, but he calls his name Storm. He's in the music industry, been in it a long time. He went and did some research.
Okay.
But he made a statement, and they were trying to say he was lying. I happened to be on the phone about an auction of songs, a whole bunch of songs being auctioned, right?
Okay.
So I say, he's not lying, you guys. I say on the live, he's not lying. I know he's not lying, because the person that put their names on the song, they probably auctioned this shit off, included those songs in the auction to dump them to get their names off of the publishing that we found.
Right.
Wow. So you already had all the information.
I got a sheets full of songs that says this person's name, their actual name, and the publishing name on each song with the names of the songs.
Okay.
Wow.
I could throw it on the internet. It would just blow the internet apart.
Can you talk about like why she wasn't getting her money? Like what? So how did they not? How'd they get around paying her what she was due?
So some of her songs had, I don't know how this happened, but some of her old songs had not even been registered.
Whoa.
I don't even know. I don't know if somebody was planning on trying to steal them. I don't know, because you know this game.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know if we couldn't figure this shit out.
How can it come out without being registered though?
Yeah.
Now it's not from all the way back to the group.
A lot of her songs had no publishing companies attached to them.
Damn.
Even her with the group too.
And she never checked on this stuff.
No, with the group.
With the group,
but a lot of the songs just didn't have. They weren't even registered at all.
Did she have management at all? Like
she at the time had gotten rid of a lot of people.
Okay.
And some of the people that you saw at the funeral, she wasn't fucking with. On the real. And it's weird to see him at the funeral speaking and stuff, because she
was done with
She had fired him. She was done with him. They weren't even reaching out to her. When she was in the hospital.
Please don't let nobody come to my funeral. I don't fuck with my family.
Man, you hear me?
Please don't do that to me, man. That's some cold shit.
She said in the hospital that these people didn't even call her up when she was in the hospital for her kidney.
Oh my!
They never called her and checked on her. This is what she told me. I'm only repeating what she told me. You feel what I'm saying?
All right, look. This is BG Knocc Out TV. We here with my cousin V Lavish and Stone Paxton.
Paxton, before we go,
yeah,
where can people find you? Can you just give them your information?
At Stone Paxton, Instagram, Facebook, Stone Paxton.
YouTube.
YouTube, Stone Paxton Music and Life blog. And we could have kept going with this.
Oh,
Yeah, no, we just running
We
out
have
of
part
time.
two
That's
for
the only.
sure.
We
We
can
can
come
talk.
back. We can start it again, but we
Yeah.
just gotta like close it
Yeah,
out for that
got you.
sec.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Stone
so
Paxton.
look,
Part
this
two.
is BG Knocc Out TV. This is part 1 of the Stone Paxton interview. We're gonna come back with part 2 real soon.
Be lavish. Peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, this shit got levels to it, man.
Yeah.